At this time, I'd like to call the August 3rd, 2023 regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Plattsburgh to order. It's now 5 p.m. Please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Mr. Collins, will you please conduct the roll call?
Mayor Rosenbaum.
Here.
Councilor Bond. Here. Councilor Kelly.
Here.
Councilor Gibbs. Here. Councilor Talon. Here. Councilor Bob. Here. Councilor Moore.
Here. All councilors have received a copy of the minutes of the July 20th, 2023 regular meeting and the special meeting held July 10th, 2023. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I'll now entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Cobb. Any changes, deletions, alterations? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I will now recognize those in the audience who wish to share their thoughts and concerns with the council on any topic. Please come to the podium to be acknowledged. When called upon, we please ask that you state your legal name and address for the record. Yeah.
Why should I do that? This gives me very, very nervous. Sure. I'm very, very emotional today. My name is Thomas, and there's no Keith. I live at 48 Colgan Avenue. I'm a retired United States Customs officer. I spent 36 years as a sworn law enforcement officer. And I just came from watching some of this every video, and I'm just very grateful that we live in the nation we live in. And I'm very grateful without getting into any of the minutiae. I'm very grateful that we have this type of forum, and it's because that's what we're fighting for this book. And I thank you for your service, and I thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I would ask as a reasonable accommodation, you just give me a second or two. Listen, it was called accurately proposed by a lawyer. I thought it was a compliment, so it was actually. I'm trying to be a little bit more brevity, but I'm trying to let me bring on to this one 50 laps a day, so I'm in pretty good shape. So don't worry. But like I said, I just want to make it through, and I want to do it without using emotion. We got the first thing I'm here to tell you about is we got notice yesterday about the paving that's going to be done in Plattsburgh. Now I want to just do a little something briefly for again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to do this, and I am very blessed to have the counselor that I have, Elizabeth Gibbs, and she's very effective and communicative to me. But anyway, we get this notice, and it's a little vague, and I'm like I'm the dog whisperer, and the people come visit the union president, and so I'm the advocate of the neighborhood. This leaves a lot to be desired, and I'm not faulting them. We get the notice out good. But there are things that I'd like to ask, and I've written them down, so I won't go on and on. I don't think we're going to deal with the back pay that today. Like, what are the exact dates for the streets? I've had neighbors in conversations say to me, listen, we can't, a lot of our neighborhood is elderly, a lot of people don't understand the instructions per se. It is a little ambiguous at best and vague at worst. What dates of the streets? What have we learned from the first car code? People are concerned. I myself, I was talking to Councilman Kelly, and I was telling the story. I think Elizabeth said there were 1,000 times or something like that too, about me having to get an ambulance many times. And that's one of the reasons I'm here too. Thank you for the city employees we have. These people, this guy yesterday stopped, he explained as much as he could. These people are exceptional. Don't ever let anybody tell you that any city employee is not exceptional. And I deal with these people. I walk right out and talk to them. And these people are exceptional. And they're a credit to this city. And irony is a funny thing. I was looking at my tax bills. I don't know why. I was looking at my tax bill and I'm like, I know I lived in Rouse's Point for 10 years. I paid a lot of money for it. And I'm glad I do because I've got the greatest councilwoman, a good mayor, an active council. They listen to us. Thank you. And thank these employees. They pick up my garbage. They pick up my leaves. They do things they don't have to do. So, you know, what is the plan more specifically? And even more importantly, and I'll volunteer, my parents, my union national president, I mean, they're a problem, not a solution. I don't need a conduit fee, so there's gonna be a way we can effectively communicate. Because we're gonna have rainstorms, we're gonna have problems, we're gonna have delays, all you know, might handle with nothing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so, you know, I've just been trying to be as proactive as I can, and I'm not doing with, you know, writing a check with my mouth that my butt won't cash. I'll cash it. I'll do it. I'll help you if I can. But we need some type of communication to people. And I went on the website today. That's what's on the website. That's it. That's it. And I'm no web guy, but I do have 12 grandchildren, and they do help me quite freely. So I'm lucky. I have a lot of kids that can help. But is there something we can do in a civic alert? You know, you can't predict the rain. You can't predict what somebody books sick, for the papers, then the car accident, all kinds of improbabilities. I just wonder how prepared we are for that. That's my question. And Elizabeth was in the process of getting this answer for me. I found out there was a meeting, and I decided this is what democracy is about. It's telling these people. And even though and I'm going to get to this last, even though you haven't given me my crosswalk, I will continue to bug you for that crosswalk across from the field house. Okay, but I want to tell you, the city police, I saw the city police the other day. There was a man running down Cogan Avenue in his underwear. I knew he was in mental distress. I had the opportunity to stop at the light and watch the policeman interact with him. It was marvelous. It was textbook. He was so patient with him. I was so proud. So proud of him. So proud of him. The fire department took to my house countless. I'm proud of every one of those. The city guys that pick up the garbage are the best in the world. I think you need to know that. I think you're doing a good job communicating to them. It's one of the things you promised me in my front porch. If you did, you've done it. And I thank you. The second thing I want to talk about, I don't know if the chief of police is here, but we have to do something about running red lights in the city. We have to. My grandson got hit at the corner of Cogan and Route 3. He's a deliverer for Domino's, and he wasn't even part of the accident. It was a spillover from the accident. But these people are running lights. I mean, 2, 3 at a time. It's incredulous. And what I would suggest, and I'm not coming here without a problem, is maybe we could think about some type of progressive enforcement. And what I mean by that is we should do this in customs. First you warn, first you be nice, and then put the hammer down. You know, and if that means the chief of police can answer this better than me, but do you give verbal warnings or what can you do? And then we escalate the case. We got to do something, folks. Somebody's going to die. And it's really horrific. I know you can't handle them all. I know where the city ends. And I don't expect the state police to do this. And I don't even expect our cops to do it because they got other important things to do. But we've got to do something. We can't, as we ignore it, it exacerbates the problem. I think. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is my crosswalk. I've asked, and I want to bring up one of the paving on Cogan Avenue. 2014, we were told, listen, 2017 at the drop dead latest your average. Here we are, 2023. So excuse our confusion, excuse we've had different councils, different mayors, etc. So we need some direction here, even if it's you're on your own. That's fine. As long as I know there's AD, whatever. Sorry, I get a little stammer a little bit. I'm an alcoholic, and that's one of the things the city police were great, but they had to come to my house and be hospitalized. And 4 years later, when I was celebrating my 4th year of sobriety, the cop came by and talked to me. That's class. That's something to be taught. And he's only about 25 years. So I mean, you know, the crosswalk, I'm sorry, I digress. The crosswalk, if you don't believe me, go to Plattsburgh State event, any event, and try to cross the street. after Dennis. Just try to cross from Ruger, across Ruger to Colby. All you gotta do, and you will have a crosswalk, I guarantee it. I see all these bike paths now, yeah. And I know what you're gonna say, you're gonna say, well, we don't want bicyclists, well, neither does Thomas O'Keefe. I don't want to be hit as a pedestrian too, and by the by, people are required to follow certain motor vehicle laws when they're on a bicycle. I've never heard of a pedestrian in particular for the. I've never heard of them. I'm Irish, I'm full of a lot of toll, I know that, but I've never heard of it. So I don't see, and the big excuse we always get is for those of you, we have to learn from history or we'll repeat it. I heard where they didn't want to slow down the traffic on the river. And I can't really, you don't even want to give it a fair chance to make it across, you know, that was what the engineers had said. We don't want to slow the traffic, we're getting light there already now, and now we've expended all this money on this other thing. I ask you, I beg you, one of three things is gonna happen. I'm gonna keep coming here and bugging you, and you will get sick of it. You don't believe me, call anybody in management of US Customs. 2, you're gonna give me my sidewalk, or 3, I'm memorializing this event again. If I ever get hit, I'm coming after the city. I'm telling you right now, there's no reason we shouldn't put a crosswalk wherever it is requested. One life, it's worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. I hope I didn't exceed too much. And thank you very much. I will have to depart because it takes a lot of me to talk that much. Thank you all very much, Elizabeth. Thank you, Mr. Kelly, for talking to me and Ms. Allen. Oh, I do have one good question. As a city resident, if I get any break from the ambulance, like my sister lives in Champlain, she comes to my house, she has to call an ambulance. She get a different price than I do. It's not a big deal. I'm just curious about it because I think there is an actual discrepancy in the price. You don't have a choice when you call 911. They dispatch whoever they can. One of them is $100 more than the other. Just so you know. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, God bless you. I don't need to offend anybody. I was raised an Irish Catholic. If you don't believe, if you're atheistic or agnostic, I apologize. And if any personal pronouns I mispronounced, misused, remember I have 5 daughters and a grandfather of 12. I should be got some mercy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Anybody else in the audience who wishes to share their thoughts and concerns with the council on any topic? Hey, you good to see you.
Kim Hartshorn, 75 Prospect. I wasn't gonna speak until I heard Tommy speak, but there is that light on Ruger that's set up to slow the Ruger traffic down before it gets to the high school. And it would make sense to put that light further up Ruger so that it slows down traffic before you get to Cove. That would seem like a fairly easy solution. The light's already there. I know it would cost money to move it, but that's always seemed like a kind of a funny place for a light for me. And I'm pretty sure the reason it's there is to slow down traffic before it gets to the high school. So police usually camp out at the farther west entrance to the field house to try to get people to slow down, but it would be a good idea to get them to slow down. Thank you.
Anybody else who'd like to share their thoughts and concerns with the council on any matter? Seeing none, we'll now move on to committee reports. Each standing committee is chaired by a councilor. I will now call upon the chairperson of each committee, starting with City Operations, Councilor Town.
Our next meeting is August 14th.
Finance and Economic Development, our next meeting is the 10th. I will be absent, so I will look to you, Councilor Town, to work on that agenda. Thank you. City Infrastructure, Councilor Kevin.
Our next meeting is next Monday. We have a couple items on the agenda tonight.
Public Safety, Councilor Bond.
I think to report it this time.
We'll now move on to liaison reports, Plattsburgh Public Library, Councilor Moore.
Our meeting was last week was canceled for lack of members there, so we're gonna have to reschedule that, so I don't have anything on this.
Thank you. Plattsburgh Municipal Lighting Department, Councilor Gibbs.
Our next scheduled meeting is the end of this month.
Climate Smart Task Force, liaisons, Councilor Gibbs and or Councilor Town.
Nothing to report. Neither do
Michelle, any staff member reports? No, sir. There are no special committee reports. I'll now report on the payrolls of the various city departments of the city of Platte or approved by the common council for the week ending July 26, 2023, in the amount of $629,002.22. I'll also report on the bills audited by the common council for the weeks ending July 28, 2023, in the amount of $3,106,524.52, and August 4th, 2023, in the amount of $2,830,008.36. Before voting on the following resolutions, I'll note that the majority of these resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by the appropriate committees and department heads, and we're now taking action on these items in large part due to the recommendation of those committees. Ms. Carlin, will you please read the titles of the resolutions to be acted upon?
Item 7.151, authorized budget adjustment, police appropriations for overtime.
Motion by Councilor, second by Councilor Kelly, discussion.
It's being there, only about halfway through the year. Is this the adjustment that will accommodate for the entire year, or is this just bring us up to date?
It's just a revenue adjustment. They have an increase in revenue, for reimbursement.
It's a repayment, yeah, sorry, Richard, it's a repayment back for, overtime incurred for other services.
Okay,
It's not the year-end adjustment,
that's a.
not by a long shot.
We'll get to that. Councilor Moore. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Vaughn.
Yes.
Counselor Kelly.
Yeah.
Counselor Gibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Talon. Yes. Counselor Bob.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
Yes,
Carried.
Item 7.152, mayoral appointment.
Motion. Councilor Bob, second by Councilor Kelly, roll call.
Counselor Vaughn.
Yes.
Counselor Kelly.
Yeah.
Counselor Gibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Talon. Yes. Counselor Bob.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.153, revising capital project H8130.67 revision 2021 sanitary sewer.
Motion by Councilor Kelly, second. Second by Councilor Bob. There was a conversation about this. There was a conversation about this item, some confusion. I'm inclined to withdraw it and move it to the move it to the infrastructure meeting for further discussion. All right, motion to withdraw. Yeah, second, Councilor Bob, second by Councilor Gibbs, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Item 7.154, authorized street closure Grace Avenue block party.
Motion. Councilor Kelly, second by Councilor Bob, discussion.
Yeah, I have a couple of things to talk about. I had a constituent reach out to me about this party. I guess, they had an issue with it, it not ending at the time that they said it was going to. So we just want to make sure that, it will be ending at 8 o'clock. The street will be open again. And now it's going to be closed from Ash Street to Cornelia Street. So that means that nobody will be able to get in and out during that time, or.
People should still be able to get in and out, I mean, considering the emergency aspect of it.
Okay.
I don't know the structure of how they close the street off. This is something that they've done multiple
Yeah,
years.
I didn't
mean,
check it out last
We've,
year. So.
we've approved it as well multiple years, but if there's a concern about the end time, we'll just make sure that, we'll reach out and say, hey, don't mind it, but just please end it at the scheduled time.
And there were concerns about how long it's actually lasting, but that's something that maybe we can talk about for planning for the future. But that's really all I wanted to say, is that they want to make sure that it ends on time and the roads unblocked at that.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Item 7.155, authorized pre-renovation asbestos inspection and analysis services agreement for City Hall staircase and basement.
Motion by Councilor Kelly, second. Councilor Bob, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Vaughn.
Yes.
Counselor Kelly.
Yeah.
Counselor Gibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Bob.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.156, adopting secret negative declaration for Harborside Hotel Development Agreement approval.
Motion, Councilor Bob, second, Councilor Kelly, discussion.
I had questions. So we're adopting the negative declarations based on last meeting?
Yes,
right?
this is based on the questionnaire that we went through the last meeting.
So number 3 on this resolution, where it says given the potential for relevant and numerous changes during the design and permitting process, that will
section. The approach taken by council would be no less protective of the environment than an alternative approach, trying to consider possible future impacts from proposed hotel development. I understand what we did the last council meeting, but we haven't approved the harbor side master plan and adopted it yet. Is this kind of cart before the horse thing of doing this before?
This reference in section 3 is more to the specific permit application that they're gonna submit to the planning board, the brick and mortar project with the facade and the traffic treatment and all those on-site details. So that's what this language is speaking to.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yeah.
Counselor Gibbs,
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Bob,
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
Yes,
Carried.
Item 7.157, authorized Harborside Hotel Development Agreement.
Motion. Counselor Bob, second by Counselor Kelly, discussion.
Yes, I have a number of questions I was hoping to get some answers to, especially now that the agreement is open for viewing in the public. It says in the agreement that we are going to sell the property for roughly $1.2 million. What is the assessed value of the parcel? Where's that? Could you come to it?
Yeah, sure.
Do we know what the assessed value of that parcel is?
The assessed value, I don't believe currently exists because the parcel is only recently subdivided. And assessment of the parcel with the amended boundaries is not yet been completed, but the value that's included in the development agreement is based on an assessment report. Or that was completed, appraisal, I'm sorry, yeah. Appraisal report completed as part of the development process for this hotel, and that indicated a full market value of the parcel that's the subject of the agreement post subdivision of $1.255 million, which is what is specified in
That's a lot.
PA. A big number.
No, I don't mean that as like the long explanation. Okay, so in essence, what you're saying is it's worth $1.2 million.
Correct.
Okay, so in the development agreement, it says the developer is looking for, or they're going to apply for a $6 million. For exact location, $6 million from ESD.
Mhm.
Is there any intention to redirect the $4 million from the DRI into this project?
Absolutely not.
And I received an email last night that gave me some information, so I did some research today, and I found a couple of articles about this parcel and the failed development agreement from Monahan all those years ago, more than 10 years ago at this point. So in the articles, it talks about the city paying to have the soil sample study and an engineer's report. That we paid to get that from Monahan because they did soil samples and an engineering report. And specifically, that engineering report stated how much weight the ground could bear in order to guide the development of how tall, how large, how much.
Mhm.
I was also given the information that the Army Corps of Engineers, the DEC, the EPA all had to do reports on site cleanup. When we paid $1.35 million to clean up the property, ready for development, when Monahan decided they wanted to come into an agreement with us. I feel that council really should have that information before we make any kind of vote on this, so that we know what the soil samples say, what the engineer's report says, and what the findings were. And I think that is incredibly important for us to have before we put ink on this, so that we know what's in the ground and what was done. Does your office have that documentation?
Not that I've ever seen, no. And it's important to specify in the development agreement, the due diligence period, which commences immediately upon execution of the agreement, includes 6 months with an optional additional 6 months for the developer to do all of the necessary soil samples, geotechnical borings, evaluation of prior site history to determine what can be built, where it can be built, if any adjustments need to be made to design in order to accommodate the physical conditions down there. And that is all of the developer's sole expense, not the city's.
I understand that, but from the municipal perspective, I think that the council should have that information before we move forward on this.
Sorry, just to be clear, like, what would be the purpose of the council having information on past studies? How does that pertain to this development agreement that Matt just outlined? Would require the developer themselves to pay for that level of analysis at that property?
Because the development agreement says the purchase price is $1.2 million. Now, tell me if I'm reading this wrong.
Sure.
That 10B says, it's on page 8, the purchase price as the same may be adjusted as provided in the agreement shall be deposited in escrow and get all that. The purchase price less any authorized deductions as defined in 16A shall be remitted to the city. In no event shall the total amount of authorized deductions exceed $300,000. Am I understanding this correctly? That if the developer has to pay for remediation, we will basically reimburse up to $300,000? So it basically comes off of the sale price. Am I understanding that language?
Yeah, the mechanism is that the full amount of sale price on the closing is deposited in escrow with the city. Upon completion of the excavation activities, the subterranean excavations for foundations, whatever else is approved to be built. If there is potential contaminated material found, which is not part of any official record in the city in the past history of the site, then those additional remediation costs would be deducted from the purchase price prior to its final remittance to the city after those excavation activities.
So I did read that correctly. And then we're also here in section 16B that the city sole expense contract with an environmental consultant to observe the project during excavation activities. And if potentially contaminated material is encountered by city as the most appropriate method for addressing that contaminated material. So yes, we're saying we're going to sell this property for $1.2 million, but we might likely encounter other costs that take away from that cost. And I think a full understanding of the information surrounding that property is incredibly important for us to have before we sell the property. And what was different about the Monahan development is we didn't sell the property. We leased the property. It was a 99-year lease that was going to bring in $18 million in revenue to the city. And that's a key difference here. So I wanted to bring that up to council. I have one more question. And my question is, who is behind the LLC? Who are the names behind the people of the LLC, the people that we're going to be doing our business with?
Our primary contact throughout the development process has been Jacob Wright at Skyward Hospitality. He came and discussed the proposed hotel with the council a few weeks ago. But he is the primary contact.
He's the contact, but is he?
He's a principal. Yeah,
He's the principal.
correct.
Is there anybody else on that LLC with him? Is it just that?
LLC disclosures are. Can you?
That agreement permit, I can't remember, but we did have a vetting process who was behind that LLC, yes.
And what did it yield in terms of information?
Yeah, it was a completion guarantee. It has been disclosed to members of the LLC.
And who are they besides this person?
Well, they're not required to be disclosed as part of the development agreement, but upon the closing and conveyance of the parcel, that information would have to be disclosed.
Thank you, Matt.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm gonna give my spin on it, a little bit different, but I think this whole project is a total waste of time. We've been down this road before. They couldn't get money. There hasn't been a viable hotel downtown in 50 years, and even 50 years ago, they were not doing well. There is really no reason for anybody to want to stay in downtown Plattsburgh. And it's not downtown, it's even in a worse location. And in all my years, I have never stayed, I've been all over the country, I've never stayed in a hotel next to a wastewater plant. I just cannot believe that this is going to work out. I mean, I think we're all just spinning our wheels and wasting our time. We're trying to get some housing in the city, which we really need, not be wasting our time with commercial hotels. That's my opinion.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of sort of piggyback up Jeff in as far as apartments. I asked you that very big question in one of our sessions. And you're right. If nobody wants to pay attention and nobody wants to show interest, you can't force people to build apartments. You can't. And I thought an apartment or a hotel down there would be like spot on. But have I been reading social media? Maybe a little bit too much. I had a lot of time on my hands. And I just, we need recreation in the city, now. It's just that's mine. We need recreation, we need things, and destinations for people to go. So that's my 2 cents worth.
And we're not protected in any way. Once the sale of the property goes through, the building is built. If it is not successful, which is why I called for a feasibility study 2 weeks ago, if that particular project in that location, in this market is not successful, we will be looking at a lot with a building that we have no control over.
Any further discussion?
Well, just one other point too, if you look out on Route 9 North. You'll see that a lot of these properties that rent out, they have turned into, I don't know of any other way to say it, Section 8 housing. They aren't for tourists, no one comes here to the city as a tourist, it's all become low income housing, and I suspect that if this ever got built, that's where it would end up. It's low income housing. But that's my other opinion.
As far as the hotel itself, I don't necessarily agree with that perspective, but I am inclined to agree with Elizabeth's perspective that we could use that information with regard to the soil before we enter into the agreement. I don't think we should go in and end up with surprises. So I think we should make an effort to have that information available. And at this point, my suggestion would be to withdraw this item for tonight in order to find out that information.
What exactly, where are we at with the developer and what would happen if this were withdrawn or postponed or tabled? And is there any opportunity to find that information provided to council, but continue this process?
A search for the information might pick it up, but we've done a pretty exhaustive search of the exit records at this point of the site history, so we may not find the records that are being referred to here. What that would, the effect that would have on the developer, I can't say. They waited 3 years to get to this point and to have the development agreement be discussed and then have what is largely a redundant search for records, considering the terms of the development agreement. I don't know how that would impact their attitude.
Caitlin, are you making a motion?
Well, it's not really redundant if we are not getting, I mean, if we stand to lose money on this deal because of that information not being available. So I think it's relevant, and yes, I'm making a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion to table the item.
Well, is the motion to withdraw or table?
Motion to table.
Motion to table.
Second,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. One negative. Carried.
Who was the next one?
Yeah. There's no need for executive session. Any new business for the council? Motion to adjourn. First by Councilor Bob, second by Councilor Kidd. All in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. I'll actually see you.